Are you ready to break free from the doubts and limits holding you back? Welcome to Embrace Your Value, where therapy meets coaching to help you unlock your true worth and take control of your life.
Hi, I'm Kristen, a trauma therapist dedicated to helping you heal, break old patterns, and reclaim your power.
And I'm Jen, your support coach, here to show you how to set fierce boundaries, embrace self-compassion, and step boldly into the life you deserve.
So whether you're stuck in self-doubt or feeling lost, know this: your value isn't up for negotiation. It's time to own it.
Every week, we tackle real issues that challenge, inspire, and empower you to live with purpose and confidence.
So grab your favorite drink, take a deep breath, and let's get started.
Because you're not here to play small. It's time to embrace your value.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Embrace Your Value. Jen and I are here with a very special guest, and I'm going to let Jennifer introduce her. Hey, everybody. So this is my friend, Tosca Fasso, and Tosca is a former Fortune 100 executive who worked her way up the corporate ladder from admin assistant to Wall Street executive. The higher she got, the more she realized corporate America was hostile to the people who worked there. So she left to write a book and launch a podcast about how leaders can create a supportive ecosystem for employees. She now helps other women escape corporate America, launch their own businesses, and create income for themselves. So Tosca, we are so happy you're here. Welcome. And I'm just going to let you tell us more about yourself and your journey, whatever you want to share.
Okay, great. Well, it's really good to meet you too. And I'm really happy to be here. Enjoy listening to your podcast. Thank you so much. You covered quite a bit there. I was for a while calling myself a Wall Street dropout, and now I'm calling myself a Wall Street survivor. I think owning that is better than pretending that it got the best of me. I think we both got the best of each other, ultimately. It was right for me until it wasn't. And when it wasn't, it hit hard. And it broke my heart, honestly. It really, really did. As someone, as you mentioned, who started off as an admin assistant, and there was quite a bit about that I did love. One of the things I did not love was certain kinds of executives who treat people like that a certain kind of way. But I did always feel that there was a promise in corporate America that if I just got to a certain level, then I could change things and I could make life better for my employees. And I did my darndest. And I think I did make a difference for a lot of people in their day-to-day as long as they were with me. But then, like you said, the higher I climbed, strangely, the worse it got. And I got to a point where I just went, this is not aligned with my life anymore. I can't keep feeling like this. Like, I came across a photo that's in my Instagram feed. I keep it at the top now. And it said something like, believe it or not, I wasn't hungover in this picture. Because I came across it just a month or so ago and I went, damn, I know I thought I looked good that day. I was taking a series of photos of myself matching my outfit to my mug. Because this is the kind of self-expression we needed to do during COVID in corporate America. And I remember thinking, my hair looks good. I love the match of this sweater and this mug. And I came across it recently, a couple of years later, and went, oh my God, I look exhausted. And that is exactly how I felt. And I realized I wasn't able to give my best anymore because I didn't have it anymore. It was just gone. And like you said, I left to write a book about what needs to change and a podcast about the same. And then my husband and I, who I know you're meeting with later today, Jennifer, we started a business that actually helps women leave and do their own thing. So it's kind of a nice conflagration of the two parts of our lives. So yeah, I think that probably covers your question in a bit of a long and roundabout way. I hope it was helpful though.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Super helpful. And I love the way you describe it as a survivor, because we need to speak as kindly to ourselves as possible, right? So when we have that framework of, okay, I was a dropout or a failure,
Yeah.
that just reverberates in our mind. So if we can reframe and just say, look, I was a survivor. I learned something. I learned a lot of some things. Me learned a wealth of things.
Yeah.
Across a huge spectrum that has now developed into the person that you are.
Thank you for summing that up so beautifully. Yes, I agree.
I love being a little part of your community and seeing the work that you do. It's just so amazing how you always show up. So for our listeners, it'll be linked down in the comments, but if you are not following Tosca on Instagram, follow her.
Eventually, like I said, we're going to integrate even further, but Dream Tech is the one where we talk about the community that you're in, and that is really our service to women business owners or aspiring business owners.
Yes, absolutely. But watching her her Instagram just is so much fun. And every time it pops up, I just smile from ear to ear because I'm like, she's just so cute. And they're great. They're fun. They're exciting. If you do nothing else after this podcast, go follow her because she will inspire you on a regular basis. So even if you're not running your own business or you don't want to run, just go follow her because she is a wealth of inspiration and knowledge. So that's just a little plug right there. So tell us, how do you keep your mindset and your value? How do you keep that so high when you did feel like a failure? I love that you have reframed it, but when you did feel like a failure, how do you keep that? What kind of steps or actions have you taken on a regular basis to just keep your mindset in check?
I think that is such an important question because I know I'm not the only one who struggles with this. When you leave something that the devil right? I was good at that. I knew how to run a team in corporate America. I knew how to show up. I knew how to be in a meeting. I knew how to chat on the side. I knew how to follow up. I knew how to say the right thing to the right person. And then suddenly, boom, none of that matters. I have a totally different currency. I don't even have the same currency at all. And I'm kind of like, what do I do every day? So Kristen will appreciate this. I recreated my corporate Trolla. It's amazing. I scheduled everything back to back. I kept getting up at 4:30, even though I didn't have a Wall Street job anymore. So my team was in New York and I was in LA. And yeah, I got to get up. I got to schedule it back to back to back to back and create things. And it just didn't work. And I'll tell you this, I remember saying to my husband, what is wrong with me? I am working a fraction of the hours that I was working in corporate America. And I am so much more exhausted at the end of the day, but it was a different kind of exhaustion. And my husband, who is someone who also did the corporate America thing and even had an office, he was a VP in the Empire State Building, fancy, but he never really bought into it the way I did. And so he, of course, says to me, he's like, because you weren't really doing real work there. It's like, you're just pushing something along the line and you're showing up and debating whether you should do anything. You're not really doing anything. You're not making any really big decisions most of the time. He said, you're probably doing about an hour of that a day in your corporate job. He said, but here, that's what you're doing all day long. You are determining what you care about, how you want to show up, how you want to talk about it, who you want to say it to, and who you want to serve. And he was like, that is so much more work than going to the meeting and reviewing the copy deck 80 different times with 5 different people, and then legal tells you can't say that anyway, so it never launches. So there's a whole lot of really high stakes in starting your own business in a good way, but in a very different way than what I was accustomed to. So how did I manage that? Not very well at first. I had a few meltdowns. I think you and I and Jen talked about the process of book writing and how utterly lonely that is. If you're at all extroverted or even ambivert like I am, the loneliness of the page. Those old writers, they weren't kidding, right? At the time of what misery it was. Yes. And back then, pull out the typewriter and be faced with that empty page. And when you relied in much in large part on people skills, right? And knowing the unspoken systems of corporate America, and none of that matters and can't help you at all. That was really hard for me. So one of the best ways for me to deal with that was to join a community. It saved my sanity, like truly. My poor husband had to hear my literal tantrums, like 3-year-old tantrums. And I could handle a lot after the Wall Street job. Like I know how to triage. I could run an emergency room, like calmly. But this, like facing the, what do I do? It just was a lot. And I need people to bounce that off of. So the community for me really helped. And then just watching podcasts or reading books and understanding that what I was going through, I was not alone in. And this is a pretty common entrepreneurial struggle that you're going to feel from day to day. Like the highs are high and the lows are so low. And then you put something out there, cricket. You're like, was that stupid? Did anybody like that? Oh God, should I take that post down? And like, oh, I hate my hair in this picture anyway, and all of that, just confronting yourself and what you care about and what you want to be saying. Was the intersection of people who want to also hear that? Do they also want to pay you for it? So yeah, I mean, community, resources, and then also simply just going, okay, do I want to go back to what I was doing? And the answer was a resounding hell no. So it was and continues to be a journey, which I don't always like. It's hard to just feel uncomfortable all the time. But so much of entrepreneurship is exactly that. It is the discomfort. That's how you grow. And it's what we teach in our community too. I think we're going to elevate this idea of progress over perfection, or POP. Like, are you ready to pop? Are you ready to stop overthinking, to stop waiting for it to be perfect, to stop feeling like I know for sure it's going to work before you put something out there? And we have to be better at that. We have to do more of that. And it's hard when you're told your whole life, and as women, stay in line, be perfect, don't be too loud, don't embarrass yourself, stop talking. And you have to do all of those things to succeed in your own business. So yeah, still learning, but those are some of the things that work.
I love that. And I love, like, so much of that I agree with, because I did the same thing when I left my job. And I very fortunately, when I got certified as a coach, landed with a community. Like, I had a tribe of women that came out of this coaching certification with me that I kind of held on to. Brainstorm with them. And I still have a couple, but one for sure that I call my business bestie, and I talk to her every week. I get an hour with her every week, and then some. I get more, but I get an hour with her for sure every week. So that has been, just priceless for me in doing this for sure. And the other thing that I was just saying on my group coaching call last night is that it is absolutely a hell no for me to go back to a job. And that is absolutely the reason I do this. Because we were talking about that, and they were asking me, like, what keeps you motivated? And I said, that is it. My why is I'm not going back. I have to make this work, and I am making it work. I will make it work. I will handle any obstacle that comes my way, because never am I going back to a 9-to-5 job where I feel like the soul has been sucked out of my body.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing it. And then one last thing, sorry, Kristen, and then I'll happily let you talk, I promise, is that we do a lot of the progress over perfection in what I do too, in my coaching world. And that's something I say every time I coach someone, but this is your progress. And so I love that. I'm always pointing that out. Like, this is your progress. This is where you're at. It might still look messy, but it's still progress.
Right.
And so you are living your progress. You are absolutely doing the thing and sharing it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. We all are. But I love that so much. So I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I like that you say that to your community too, to people that you, it's important to be reminded of that. And I waited too long to get into a community. I didn't know. I'm trying to judge myself, but I wish I'd found something like that sooner because I spent pretty agonizing first 9 months and I ended up kind of like you, Jen, but I took an Amy Porterfield course, the list building. And when she opened up the little Facebook group that you get to be in for 30 days, I was like, I got latch onto this. People. And I was just chatting. And I actually now still have a bestie from that. We meet most every week. She's been on my podcast. And so, yeah, but that really did help. But she and I were sort of in the muck together. I think we both could have benefited from some more helpful framing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I can actually resonate with both of these stories, but sort of in a different way, which is I started my own practice coming out of a much larger practice. And so I feel sometimes a little bit of the isolation, even though I'm peopling all day long, clients are coming in and out for 8 hours a day, but I'm in an office by myself. I have a little suite that I share with some other people, but they hardly ever come out of their offices either. And so I kind of went from a community into sort of doing things on my own. And I would say that that made me feel a lot more independent and in control
Nice.
of my destiny, because working for a bigger private practice, I was giving money away and I could work as much or as little as I wanted. There wasn't any restrictions around that. My clients were my own. I didn't have to give them up when I left. But there were still a dependence on the practice and on referrals within the practice and things like that. And we all still refer to each other, which is fine. But it's this sense, while it kind of isolated me, also brought a sense of independence. So I think things can happen all kinds of ways. It's just about where do you want to be?
Yes. And then I think that is interesting. You sound more like my husband in that way. He just never really liked giving everything he was doing to someone else's vision, someone else's retirement, basically. And he likes having all the autonomy just fall right on him. He wants it to be his own thing. Yeah. And I appreciate that. And I think I'm becoming more that way, but it's hard. I started working in corporate type jobs when I was 16 for a multitude of reasons that Kristen could probably infer, but I really liked the structure of it. And then you show up, you get paid, you do the thing, you succeed. And when you come from a background where that's the same thing, I kind of craved that. And so I felt a certain loyalty, it got me out of these situations. And I also had my first husband was an emotional abuser and a total jerk. And for me, I would rather have been at work than home. And so I really dug deep into the whole corporate life and identity. And so it was hard to shed that and say, this doesn't serve me anymore. I'm not that same person. I actually like my life now. Sundays are great. They used to not be. I would rather have been at the office. And so, when you evolve and you're holding on to something from the past, it doesn't serve you anymore. And everything else starts to crumble because you're not really paying attention to who you've become. And your life doesn't match up with that. So in a way, there's been a kind of a recalibration of what I care about, what I want to do. It's honestly been one of the hardest things ever. But I didn't want to look back 5-10 years from now and go, I should have done that. I wish I'd done that. Or maybe even been possibly let go because I was not enjoying my world anymore. Or maybe negatively affecting the people who reported to me suddenly instead of being a source of joy for them. It was time. And that was where the consequences. And yeah, it's been a huge growing period, which I know you both know and talk about that all the time on your podcast here. It's not easy. Growth is bad.
It's really hard. I absolutely agree with everything you just said. And I think that was a bit much larger example of staying in the devil, when we talk about things that we have from childhood and we carry those into adulthood and how we continue to repeat patterns. And that is a lot of what I work with clients is like, where is this coming from? Like, why do we continue to repeat old patterns? Let's figure out the root of this. Let's resolve that. And you've done some of that, at least, is like, I don't want to do that pattern anymore. I don't want to be part of that cycle. I want to do things differently. And I want my life to be better. And that's when change starts happening.
Yeah. You have to fight for that because it's, like you said, it's not easy to decide to do things differently and say goodbye to the things that maybe they don't serve you or what they're comfortable. You know how to do. Like I realized back to the getting up at 4:30 thing, I was thinking back to when I wake up now, I'm a little bit sleepy, right? Wake up slowly. I feel sleepy. I'm like, why is that? Why did I used to wake up like this, ready to go, get on camera, present something to New York, 5 a.m? Oh, because I wasn't really ever resting at all. Like I was running on adrenaline. I was just like, I don't know if you have a video component to your podcast, but I was running like at high energy that wasn't healthy or sustainable. Like maybe it's a cortisol thing. I don't know, but not a good thing. And I realized I wasn't tired because I was never really rested. Yikes.
Yeah. And what a revelation, right? And what you were really in was just a constant heightened state of fight or flight. And so you weren't resting and you weren't able to take the time. And that's trauma, right? We're just living in that place. And you're right, cortisol. That's why we have dis-ease and disease in our world is because people are in this constant state of fight or flight a lot of the time. And I think once you realize that, it's hard to not see it anymore. And then you have to say, okay, what am I going to do to change?
Thank you for validating that.
Well, I have kind of a put you on the spot question.
Oh, good.
And if you don't come up with anything, we'll edit this out. And I'm sitting here listening to this whole conversation and I'm thinking, what would you have loved for someone to say to you if you were ready to hear it that would have helped you maybe make the shift sooner or made the shift easier on you? So maybe there wasn't, like I hear a lot of grief in what you went through. You were grieving the old plus coming into this whole new and loss, and there was a lot there. So like, what would you love to have heard from somebody, whether it was yourself saying it or somebody else, that would have just made it better for you, that you could say to the women listening, hey, if you're struggling with this, hear this now?
I don't know if it's going to be as profound as that. But I think just everything that you've used, all these skills that you've used to get here, you can still use those just for different things and that you're going to be okay. I did have someone tell me, you're safe, it's going to be okay. And I didn't believe her. So I don't know that I would have necessarily believed it. But the part about the skill, something more tangible, I think is helpful because somebody that, oh, you're going to be fine. You're going to be great. It's not specific enough. I think you need to hear something more specific, like there are resources. There are other people who have done this. You have these skills. They still apply. It might take you a while, but you'll figure that out because of these things. Not, oh, you're going to be great, Tosca. Like I did hear that. And I was like, how do you know? I needed something more specific, which is, again, why I really love the communities. Because you can put a question in there. You can watch someone else's journey. You can even put like a little poll and saying, well, should I call it this or should I call it that? And I like that. It's more specific. I'm not a really good theorist. My husband he was a rhetoric major for his master's. And the rhetorical, theoretical conversations, I feel really bad for him because he'll bring up some more existential thing. I'm like, I don't know. Can we just talk about what we're doing today? I'm just more practical than that. And so for me to bring it back to something like this, these are reasons work, or if it doesn't work, you have these other things that you could do. That would have been helpful. I'll just say that.
Yeah. When I got certified as a coach, one of the things they kept telling us was trust the process, trust the process.
The process.
And I was, yeah, exactly. And now I kind of get it because I think I have spent the last 6 years trusting the process, like going through and doing all the steps. But the better thing would have been for them to say, stay in action.
Yes. Love it. That's so
Trust the
good.
process, but stay in action.
Yeah. Yes.
Because that's the better thing for them to have said to us coming out of it. But yes,
right.
Yes.
On the wall, it's probably too broad, right? It needs to be something that like wouldn't look great on a wall, but looks good on a post-it right there. That is the level I need.
I love that. Yes, but I love the skill thing. That's perfect. Like we all have skills, and it's sometimes about trusting ourselves to know that we have those skills, to believe in ourselves, to do it. But we have those skills, so utilize them, show them to the rest of the world, not just the four walls you've been in for the last 20 years.
Exactly.
I love this skills thing. And here's how I use that in the office with clients. And I love how you're using it in your own life and how to explain it to other women is I'll say, like, when was another time you felt confident? When was another time that you used this skill? When was another time? And building that place in their minds that I have done this, so I can do this about whatever it is. And I think that's what you're saying with utilizing, remembering that those skills can transfer.
Yes, I think that's so important. I don't have children, but I would imagine that there are a lot of women who go through the child raising phase and wonder, how can I get a job now? And they have transferable skills. And it's the same thing when you kind of step down from corporate, you have transferable skills for this other thing. And one of mine is, if you can't tell, I love talking to people. So I am realizing I'm not doing enough of that in my business. I like putting together a video for somebody. I like talking on the reels. I like doing podcasts. And I'm not my best when it's just me and the screen. I'm really not. And I have all the power to create more opportunity for myself. And yet I don't remember that all the time. I think that's so important that we're talking about this. Like, what are you good at? Do more of that in your business. You'll probably do better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Draw on your strengths, right? Know what your strengths are. So many people don't even know what their strength really is. And I love that you spoke to like women who had spent most of their time in the home raising children. I get that a lot. They're starting to be empty nesters. Well, what do I do with my life? And I'm like, what did you do before you had kids? What was that like? Well, I love playing the piano and I whatever, stopped doing it because I was too busy and I had toddlers to run around with. And I loved going to the park or I loved drawing. And it's like, okay, do that. Like, do those things, create some inspiration for yourself. And then you can use that to move forward. Because I think we as women, and you alluded to this if you did not say it exactly, Tosca, which is society tells us that we have to be a certain way. And tiny little bot, like, and it's so tiny, and it's so much tinier than men's boxes. Men's boxes are different. And I have a whole speech on that one for my guy clients. But ours is very, very specific about, like, you need to be this set of rules. And I think starting to break that and starting to move through that in bits and pieces. But I think it's just important to remember that, like you said, we all have skills. Nobody gets through life without some kind of skill. And if that skill is simply survival, then that's a transferable skill.
Such a great point. I've certainly seen a lot of businesses where I can guess that that's kind of the underlying reason that they're doing what they're doing. Some of the money coaches, perhaps, like I think that's so good to call that out for people. There are people who are in my life who think that because they didn't have a corporate job like I did, or they didn't go to a certain college or something. I mean, I went to a state college, so it's not that big of a deal, or didn't go at all, that they are not worthy of good things. And I think we have to just continue to dismantle that kind of thinking.
100%. Because I can tell you, I felt that way initially. I mean, my last job was at a church. I worked retail for 16 years. I worked for a sign company. Like, I didn't work in corporate America. And people ask me, they're like, well, what did you do for your corporate job? And I'm like, well, I worked for a church. And there's no shame in that. Like, I don't take shame in that. But there was a little time where I was like, oh, maybe I'm quite the right person. And then it was like, I really coached myself out of that and was like, no, that's not the truth.
Yeah.
I have so much more than what that matters, and none of that matters. You can do your own thing and be your own person. And it took me a while. One of the things that really happened for me in my business was latching on to coaches that told me I needed to do things a certain way that weren't my way.
Yes.
And that happened a lot. It's only been in the last couple of years that I found amazing coaches like Miss Brenda Rigney. That
amazing. Yes,
she is. And that she will say, you can try it this way, but this might be a small tweak to just add in a little something different. And that's a different thing than having a coach say to you, which I had a coach that I paid money say to me, you cannot do it that way. It will not work.
Oh, yeah. I think a whole lot of us have had that, right?
And I'm a rule follower. So I'm over here going, well, I can't do it that way then. But yet I'm putting stuff out that I don't like. I'm trying to create programs that aren't in alignment with me, and I'm trying to coach around it. And I'm like, who am I and what is this? So yes, just really owning who you are and what your values, what your strengths are. That's, for all of our listeners, that's the beautiful part of this.
Right. And I'm leaning into that. There's another woman I was having a chat with who's in our community, and she was saying that her AI was telling her, maybe you need to lean more into the weird.
Yeah.
It's like, why not? I mean, for me, it might be an S-bomb, right? For someone else, it might be creating some sort of spell. I don't know what everybody's beliefs and strengths are, but when we look like everybody else, or we say the same things as everybody else, the people who really are our people are not going to find us.
They're absolutely not. And so we have to lean into who we are and really speak to the people that we want to speak to.
Yeah.
And that's the important part. I mean, it is really important.
Yeah. Pretty much like essential.
Yeah, I agree. Because if you can't be your authentic self, then what are you really doing?
Well, then might as well just go back to corporate America, because the was perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah, if I'm going to stuff myself down,
Right.
I do that and make a big old paycheck. I don't want to do that anymore. And that is the point, right?
Yeah, it doesn't serve you to be inauthentic, because like I wouldn't consider myself a typical therapist. I'm pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of fluff and, oh, how do you feel about that? And all that kind of stuff. And so it takes, like, I can only really certain kind of clients that want to see me, because I'm not like going to pat them on the head and be like, you're going to be okay. I'm going to be like, how do we fix this? Let's find the way. And so I'm very solution driven with clients, as I was in business, because Tosca, this is my second career. It was sales for 20 years. And so I think it prepared me very well, because I do like people and I do spend a lot of time obviously talking to people. But yeah, I mean, this is where I can be my authentic self.
Anything else you want to talk about, Tosca?
Well,
else you really want to bring in?
I feel like we've done the best that we can do with talking about women and what we face and who we want to be and the boxes that contain us, and how sometimes we put ourselves in those boxes and we can take ourselves out. I think that's such a great message. And I really love what you're doing with your podcast. I think the format is super cool, because a lot of people will say, oh, I don't really think coaches know anything, but they totally do. And especially when you are combined with the trauma-informed therapy, I mean, wow, that's a powerful combination. I'll ask you this. How did you meet? How did you come up with this?
With Jen. So go ahead, Jen, tell the story.
We met on a networking site, and I actually had a client that needed to find a good trauma therapist. and I'm in Nebraska and Kristen is in Kansas. And so I didn't know that at the time though. And I just reached out to her and said, hey, can I pick your brain on a couple things? And lo and behold, Kristen says to me later, I never have those one-on-one calls with people. I never accept those.
Oh,
But
wow.
she jumped on a call with me and we started chatting. And I learned that obviously she couldn't help my client because she's in Kansas, not in Nebraska. But she gave me some ideas and I was able to pass that along to my client. But the longer we talked that day, the more there was obviously something that we needed to do together. And it was just there. And I think Kristen said, I want to do a podcast. And I was like, I'm looking for a podcast host, like a co-host, because I had done my own. And I had, when my dad got sick and passed away, it kind of got on the back burner. And then I never really picked it back up because I found it boring. I found doing my own podcast kind of boring because I wasn't really bringing on guests. And I also didn't know very much. I've learned a ton more since doing this with Kristen. And so 4 weeks later, we had a podcast.
Wow.
We just got it started. Yes, it was absolutely meant to be. And actually, October, Kristen, is our 1 year.
Wow.
We're coming right up on it.
Here, my gosh.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, happy anniversary. I mean, I think
Thanks.
it's for a testament to what these entrepreneurial groups of women are possible of creating. These kinds of collaborations, we do work well together. Women do. We're not thinking about how we're going to be better than that person or sell more than that person. We're thinking, what if that person is someone who I can work with and we can together create something different and better? That's the magic, I think, of this. It's an interesting little economy, isn't it? I'm fascinated by it. And I love meeting people like you two. And that's why I'm enjoying the communities more than anything. And I wouldn't be able to do this without that. So thank you for inviting me in.
Absolutely. Yes. So Tosca, tell people where they can find you. And I was looking at the information you gave us. Your school community isn't on there. So can I add that? Can I add that to the links? Because I think that would be a great place for entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, to jump in and really get in there because it's a lovely community.
It's free right now. We're working on growth and we're working on, just like we're saying about each other, learning from our communities. So we think it's a fair exchange to offer what we're offering for free in exchange for learning more about how we can do it better. So right now is the time to join. It will not be free forever. We're probably going to keep it free till we get 100 members in there. We're about halfway. So come on in. It's fun. And you can also find me at DreamTech BFF on Instagram or it's Tosca Fasso on Instagram. And I also have a podcast, as we were speaking about. It's called Manager on a Mission. And my book is called, we did not about this. It's called Not Safe for Work, NSFW.
I saw that. Like I immediately went to your Instagram and I was like, because I felt a connection with you like right away. I was over here going, and it was like the book was NSFW and I was like, oh, shut up. Like I freaking love this.
Thank you. I'll say this and then I know you'll do a short podcast. I called it that for a couple of reasons. One, it's great for marketing. Okay. But second, work doesn't feel safe for employees right now. And that is not okay. And third, I wanted it to signal to younger people, this is not your grandma's management book. Okay. This is, I understand you. You have been betrayed and there is a better way. And so that's why it's called that.
Good. I love it.
Yeah.
Tosca, thank you for being an amazing guest with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope everybody listening, all of her links will be linked in the show notes. So go check her out. Go get in her world. She's incredible. I've already learned so much from her and I just love getting to have chats with her. So when she moves to Italy, she still has to find time to have one-on-one chats with me.
Absolutely.
I enjoy it. And yeah.
So nice to meet you, Kristen and Jen. Great to see you again. Thank you so much for having me.
So thank you all for being here with us. We appreciate you being here and listening. Be sure to subscribe, tell your friends, give us 5 stars. Just be sure you're sharing this because we want all the other amazing people and women to know what this is about and just come join us. So thank you all. We'll see you next week and much love.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us today.
If today's episode hit home, don't just keep it to yourself. Subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Because everyone deserves to know their worth.
Next week, we're diving even deeper with more insights and tools to help you break free from limitations and live authentically.
Until then, keep raising your standards, owning your worth, and embracing your value.